Hit it, Phil.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze. It's Jackson time. La-da-da-da.
Stay tuned.
Right after this episode.
For our discussion.
The Flip Wilson Show.
Hi, I wanted you to meet a couple of buddies of mine, visiting for the first time from Sesame Street. First, I'd like you to meet Bert. Bert? It's a pleasure to have you here, Bert, and I got to tell you how much fun I had when I visited your show.
Yeah, we had fun having you here. I tell you, really. Yeah. I'm a little scared now, though, like this song.
Oh, don't be afraid. Your friends are my friends.
Yeah? Okay.
We have the same friends. You brought somebody with you, didn't you?
Yeah, right. You can see him down there.
I'll introduce him, okay?
Okay, you go ahead.
Ernie, right?
Ernie. Oh, yeah, that's Ernie. Yeah, that's Ernie.
I'd like you to meet Ernie. Hey, Ernie. Hey! 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 Yeah. Ernie, you got a natural.
Yeah. I've always had one.
Oh, yeah, me too. I got some Afro sheen I'll lay on you later. Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the show, you know? And I had my spot a little while ago, and I don't want to just take all the time because I know you guys are big-time performers.
Yeah, well, we rehearsed this. We're not that big time, but we sure are going to...
Yes, so,
Oh, don't worry about it.
You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
It's okay, Bert.
Okay. You're going to be all right. So, I'm going to get out of the way, and you guys go ahead and do your tune, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Bert and Ernie.
Thank you. I was sitting around, feeling so blue, trying to think what to think to do. Ernie, when I suddenly heard something new. I was sitting around, trying to sleep, practicing counting while counting sheep. When good, I knew I had found something new. It was just a water pipe when the faucet got turned on. But it brightened up my life like a nightingale's sweet song. And now I'm happy with my pen and my can, my whistler too. 'Cause now I know what I just gotta do. We go, yeah. And the sky is all sunny and blue. I bet it'll do it for you.
Say, that's going great.
Yeah?
You know, can I join?
Oh, sure.
I like to be in on
Ernie,
it.
you tell him how.
Yeah, okay, well, why don't you do the whistle part? How about
Okay,
that, you know?
okay.
And I'll
You got
sing.
whistles down there?
Okay, hit it, George!
Okay, here we go.
And now I'm happy with my pen and my can, my whistler too. Now I know what I just gotta do. I go. What was that? Let's do it again right now. That's very good. I think I'll do it for you.
Here we go.
Thank you. No, that's it. That's it, John. Hey, I rehearsed. Hey, time. Hey, I rehearsed all the time. It was in the song. One more.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, as much as I enjoy it here, I still cannot get used to playing these kind of theaters in the round, you know. And the first couple of days of rehearsal, we had audiences. And I was so nervous, I was doing my jokes like this. I was walking around talking to this one, to this one. I was running all around like this. So finally, I got so dizzy. You know, it was awful. It was still cheaper than a martini. You know, this is a smart audience. You'd be surprised how many times I tell that joke and it never gets a laugh. I'm stubborn. When I like a joke, I tell it. Anyway, I can't tell you how happy I am to be doing this show with Flip. Now, I get such a kick out of those cute little sayings of his, like, what you see is what you get. You know? And then he goes, I don't even know what that means. Then he has another expression where he says, too much, you know? Matter of fact, that's how our first conversation went. He asked me to do the show. I told him what my price was, and he said, I knew I wouldn't have to go any further with that one. I'm only kidding, though. Lucifer made me say that.
Mr. Benny! Mr. Benny! It's me, Rochester! Fooled you, didn't I?
You sure fooled me. I thought it was Dennis Day.
Oh, it's a heavy, Jack. You're dropping them bombs tonight, huh?
Huh?
Yeah. You know, Jack, gotta tell you.
Mary Livingston would have been funnier, wouldn't it? Oh, let's go. Now he doesn't know what to say. Well, anyway, go ahead. Say something.
Okay, I don't have any problem saying it, Jack, because when you're talking from the heart, you don't have to try to remember what you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that you've always been one of my idols, and it's an honor having you here on the show.
Well, thank you very much.
You know who else thinks you're the greatest? Pearl Bailey.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm very proud of that, too, because I think she's a great talent.
Yeah.
She really.
You know she's been wanting to rap with you all week?
She wants to what?
Rap.
She hits?
Rap. Like when two cats talk the same language.
Oh. Well, I'm not a cat. I'm not with it. You know what I mean?
What do you mean you're not with it? You're what's happening. You're out of sight. You're a gas.
Is that good?
That's saying the most, to say the least, and that's saying a lot. Say, Mama, come on out here and rap with Jack.
Oh, you a Jack Benny. Oh, baby, you where's that? Oh, honey, I dig you. I dig you, man, consecutively. I'm telling you, really, I'm sorry, you really put it together. Some of it's glued, but it's together. I mean, baby, you are saying something. How you doing, baby?
I'm glued? Oh, yeah, I know. I'm a groove. That's what I'm a groove.
Yeah.
I'm out of sight.
Yes.
And it gives me gas.
No.
Am I hip?
Oh, you're hip. You got it together.
What'd she say?
Well, Jack, see, let's put it in this type of vernacular, which is very easy to understand. What she said was, you stride the field of comedy like a giant, and there isn't a true devotee of humor who hasn't been moved to laughter by your wit and style, your affectionate bemusement with the world and its ever-present foibles.
See? That's what I said.
Right on. Whip it out of me, Flip.
We're ready for the Hugo's Hungarian root beer commercial. Send in the ordinary everyday housewife. This commercial calls for a housewife.
Well, I'm a housewife, but I just haven't been home for some time.
But you're supposed to be wearing an ordinary everyday outfit.
This is ordinary for me, dear. This is ordinary for her. These are ordinary diamonds. See, I have one for each day.
Uh-huh. I like the one for the middle of the week.
Cute little devil.
You better cut that out.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday's child is pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, let's run over your lines. Pardon the pun.
Yes, I will.
Well, they're on the cue cards over there.
Okay.
What happens is, you come into this Hungarian restaurant.
Yes, sir.
You take a seat, you call the waiter over.
Yes.
When he comes over, you say to him, whenever I go out to dinner, I have the champagne of soft drinks. Bring me a Hugo's Hungarian root beer. Okay, you got that?
Yeah, but I don't think I can get up that high, honey. Let's get on with it. I'll try it. Where's your waiter?
You go get ready for your entrance, and I'll take care of getting a waiter, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Send in the gypsy waiter. It's a pretty nice outfit you got there, fella.
I suggested the earring.
Uh-huh. Now, look, Mr.
Kabelski. With a K. With a K.
Okay. Now, if you come over here, I'll run it down for you.
Let's see.
What happens is, the lady comes into the restaurant. She asks you to bring her Hugo's Hungarian root beer. You nod and leave. You got that?
I nod and leave.
That's right.
That's it.
Now, let's run it once from the top.
Pardon me. I just nod and leave. That's all.
That's correct.
I don't say anything at all.
No, you don't say anything. You nod and leave. Let's get ready to run that from the top.
But look, well, see, I wouldn't do that. You see, when she asked me to bring the root beer, I'd say, very good, madam. Thank you.
Not in this commercial.
Look, I have never known a gypsy not to say thank you. His agent, yes.
Laudable.
How you spell it.
Say, Tim,
C or K.
I think we got a goulash here. Oh, excuse me, Tim. I didn't know your grandmother was Hungarian. I said, excuse me, what do you want? Everybody's so touchy nowadays. Okay, look,
Kabelski.
Okay. You can say thank you.
I don't say very good, madam?
No, very good, madam.
You know, I was just thinking, I'm not too crazy about that madam line myself.
But I still nod. I nod, don't I?
Yes. You nod, say thank you, and leave. Now let's go for a take, okay?
It's all right with me.
Hugo's Hungarian root beer commercial, take one.
Oh, waiter!
Oh. Good evening, madam.
Yes.
My name is Igor. Igor Kabelski, and I'm happy to serve you.
Cut! Oh.
This is a nice waiter.
Thank you.
What are you trying to do? I mean, what's all this about?
Look, I've never been in a restaurant where the waiter didn't at least say good evening.
Well, you're in one now. Will you just say thank you and leave?
All right. For this, they could have gotten Marcel Marceau.
Hugo's Hungarian root beer commercial, take two.
Oh, waiter! Whenever I go out to dinner, I order the champagne of soft drinks. Bring me Hugo's Hungarian root beer.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll see if we have it.
Well, maybe we're out. Look, Pavelski, the reason we didn't want you to speak is when you were a little boy, you were kidnapped by gypsies who cut your tongue out. See? So, consequently, you haven't been able to speak since you were 5 years old.
Not even say thank you?
Not even thank you.
Well.
Sorry to put you through all of this, Mama. You're doing very well with your part.
Thank you. Do you think I'll ever be a star?
We'll see. We'll see. A lot of nice parts coming up for Soul Sister lately.
You're such a nice man.
Hugo's Hungarian root beer commercial, take 3.
Oh, waiter!
Well, you see, the gypsies felt so bad about cutting my tongue out, they taught me how to play the violin.
Tango, to really get the feeling of romance. Let's do the tango, do the tango, do the dance of love. Listen, darling, you can sail on a ship by yourself. Take a nap or a little nip by yourself. Yeah. You can get into debt on your own. I just did. There are lots of things that you can do alone. To the tango, to the, oh, you nervous rascal. Yes, yes, it takes to the tango, do the tango. Oh, he is so Spanish. Yes, sir. You can drive in your car by yourself, eat caviar by yourself,
Spend a lot, go to pot on your own. There are lots of things that you can do alone.
Challenge me to the tango, to the tango, to the go for yourself, bro. Yes, well, do where you go. Do the tango, do the dance of love. Flip, you can sing Handy's blues by yourself. You can even take a snooze by yourself.
You can act like a king on a throne.
Good eye.
There are lots of things that you can do alone.
There goes being nervous again. To the tango, to the tango, to. I'm getting kind of Spanish myself. Yes, yes. Do the tango, do the tango, do the dance of love. It takes two. Watch it two. You know, somehow it always takes two. And I'm with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I say goodnight, I'd like to take a moment to thank my guests. And Jack, it's been a pleasure. I've always admired you, and you're such a fantastic man and really a giant. And I hope we have the pleasure again.
I hope so. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Henson of the Muppets. Jim Henson.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. Welcome to Jack Benny on the Flip Wilson Show from 1972. I love that Jack pops around and shows up on so many different shows, and this is a fun one that I'm glad he did. And it's a fun show to just talk about the Flip Wilson Show in and of itself. And we've got the Muppets on here. You got a lot of things going on that we can chat about. So we are joined by Kathy Fuller-Seeley. Hey, Kathy. And we have John Henderson here. Hey, John.
Hello.
And we, of course, have Terry Phillips back with us. Hey, Terry. And so, fun show. Let's get into it. So, what did we like about this, or what stood out, or did you notice, or anything? Let's go to John first. John, what did you think?
I loved this episode. I thought it was so fun from start to finish. Very funny and very different. You know, as Jack Benny fans, and since we've been doing this for 5 years, you know, you start to see some things repeated a little bit, especially when you get into the later Jack Benny stuff. And this is all new material that I'd never seen before. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny and so delightful. Flip Wilson, I have a best of the Ed Sullivan Show that I watched many, many times since I was a kid. And Flip Wilson has a stand-up segment on that. And it's so funny and accessible and delightful and great that I knew I was a Flip Wilson fan going into it. But, you know, sometimes these variety shows they got to come up with new material every time. I wasn't sure how good it was going to be, but I laughed and I loved every minute of it. And we can get into some of the specifics as we go through.
Well, one part I'll point out really quick is that I loved was just Jack talking about that he worked on the rehearsals and everything, and him just being so honest and talking about how he always freaks him out working in the round where you've got the audience surrounding you. And I loved how he kind of portrayed it. He's like, when we were first doing the rehearsals, I was over here, and then I was over here, and I was running around this. And I could totally see it. I mean, and it's like, or do you stand there and as you tell your joke, turn a quarter turn every few lines into the joke and slowly turn. And it just feels weird as a performer, I would think, with your back facing a certain part of the audience over and over again. So yeah, it would. And the round was really popular at this time. I remember a lot of John Denver specials would be done in the round, and people would talk about that. And well, now that I think about it, when I saw John Denver live in 78-ish, he performed in the round where we saw him, and so the band would change directions every once in a while to give so some of the times he was performing right at you, and then there was a decent amount of the part of the concert where he was facing completely the opposite direction, and you're like, oh, this is weird. I wonder when I'll see John again. Oh, there he is, coming around the other side. And you wonder, should they set it faster so that through one song you get a chance to see him a couple times come around, or would he be too dizzy? Or, I don't know. Anyway,
I also thought it was fascinating that Jack said, you know, I've done that joke about in the round multiple times. It never gets a laugh, but it got a laugh this time. But I'm stubborn. When I like a joke, I tell it.
Yes, exactly. I love that. I love that part. So anyway, Terry, what did you notice in this one?
Well, I'm going to begin as I like to do, being a writer with the writers. Flip Wilson had a boatload of writers. This was kind of in the the mold of, I don't know, Bob Hope and for that matter, Jack Benny. Flip Wilson had, in this episode, I counted 7 writers getting credit at the end. One of them was a composer. 2 of them were British, and all of them were really very experienced comedy writers. And so I don't know, I have no idea what it was like in the writer's room or how how this material got pitched to him, but he had a wealth of material to draw from. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why Jack was so comfortable doing this show. The writing was solid.
Yeah.
I also noticed at the end that Flip Wilson's production company was called Clero Productions. I didn't know this, but Clero was Flip Wilson's first name.
Oh.
Oh.
Probably a good idea that you switched it.
He was called Flip when he was in the service. I can't remember. There's a story behind that, but his, the other troops would call him Flip. This was the year. So Flip Wilson was born in 1933, so he would eventually be 39 this year when his birthday came around, which I thought was kind of a nice coincidence. There were a lot of things going on this year that this was not a current event show, but just in the background, this was the year of Watergate.
Yeah.
This was the year that HBO was introduced to America. Movies this year included MASH, The Godfather, and something that we have talked about in the past. Jack Benny this year was in a movie called, I think it was a made-for-TV movie called The Man, about the first African-American president. And none of the things that were going on in the world at this time entered into this episode, except for the comparison between, to put it broadly, black and white culture. And I thought they handled that so well. Jack played up himself not being hip or hep, I think he said at one point, and Pearl Bailey being the queen of cool. They focused entirely on entertainment, and I think this explains in no small part why I used to watch this show with my parents. My parents and my sister and I, this was every week we would watch the Flip Wilson show because it was funny. It wasn't made to be provocative or upsetting or, even necessarily informative, other than that we got to spend a time with all of America being entertained. I didn't spend a lot of time watching the Muppets in this episode, but even there, it was just fun.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, John, to your point, I think that's why we both laughed so much during this episode.
And yet, I think it has a deeply ideological purpose through its gentleness. I think Flip Wilson was doing a lot of civil rights equality work, whereas Richard Pryor would come out and he was white people and a blue language, the bluest language possible in his filmed live stage shows. And here's Flip being these characters. Look, he's being a Geraldine. He's being a transgender person. He's with Pro Bailey. They are on national television talking about black culture, and yet they could do it, with Jack Benny, and nobody had to be wrong or evil. He could just say he was sort of behind the times, but he got to be willing to learn. I love the fact that Flip came out doing a Rochester accent. Again, sort of pulling the old audience. If you loved Jack Benny, you might not ever watch a show with black performers like this, but here's a way of including you and making you feel comfortable. Yeah. I thought it was wonderful. So,
yeah.
I also wanted to give a shout out to the skit, the filming a commercial scene, because it had one of my favorite odd Jack characters playing the obnoxious guy who wants a bigger part. I so love playing the Claudette Colbert or Irene Dunn episode for my students where Jack barges his way into a play reading script and tries to make the part of the butler bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
I found that that was sort of rewritten, to have Jack trying to get a bigger and bigger part as the waiter. And I thought that sort of delightful and the obnoxious Jack I don't get to see all the time. So
Yeah.
Well, and it's so funny because that is a truism as well. You'll talk to they'll do interviews with actors, and as they were working their way up, they will say, "Oh, I think it was Brad Pitt I saw in an interview where he was supposed to be a waiter and had no lines and came in and said like something like, 'Oh, would you like a something with that?' or whatever. He threw some line that he thought a waiter would say, and the the director immediately stopped things and came and talked to him and said, if you say anything that's not in the script, you will never work again. You'll be so out of here. So he said he just came up and he delivered his thing, but he tried to, he says if you ever see that film, you can totally see the waiter like looking at the camera and like, oh, I'm doing an important thing here. I have no line, but look at me, look at me. I'm like, okay, I get it. But to have Jack play on that is just so wonderful, and I think actors would get a lot out of that when they see Jack trying to expand his part, because a lot of them attempt to do that and it doesn't always work.
just as you all say, it's a credit to how well written this episode was.
Yes,
That here was
yes.
something fresh and new, and yet drew on, so well established things throughout Jack's career. But as I said, and he performed it very well. He was game for it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he is like 77 years old. So
Well,
Well,
and I think that's true of a lot of these variety shows and the talk shows, Carson shows and everything like that, that they need a lot of writers and they use a lot of writers because they're covering so much ground, and they want somebody who's great at writing slapstick and somebody else who's great at writing controversial comedy and cutting edge stuff, and so you want to have that broad swath, and so that's why you probably run into so many writers on shows like this. But anyway, John,
I was going to say I didn't make the connection to that old sketch that Jack does a few times where he's trying to get in there, and I can totally see that now. But this is not a retread of that. Like this is its own thing that it works so well. And you watch. I watch a decent amount of sketch comedy in Saturday Night Live, which is on every week. And some of the problems with some sketch comedies are they've got an idea, but the audience isn't patient enough to get to it. So you got to get all these jokes, or you got to introduce it right away, and they got nowhere to go, and there's no way to end the sketch or whatever, right? It kind of just falls apart. This is like the perfect sketch. It is so slow at the beginning. It's patient. But even in that beginning part, there's comedy. Like there's moments that are really funny. And between Jack Benny's timing and Flip Wilson, who is the timing in this sketch is so good, and the pacing, his ability to just like, the turns and the reactions are so funny that I was laughing out loud before they even got to the premise of the sketch. But because there's so much buildup, when Jack finally comes and he says, he comes up to the table for the first time and he says like, oh, hello, I'll be your server, whatever. I laughed out loud because that tension was finally released, and it was so funny. And then when he comes the second time and he does that little skip, we were watching the Lucy show, recently from 1970, which is 2 years earlier or whatever, and he had a bit of trouble with the skip. He does the skip beautifully this time, as the gypsy coming in, and what's his second joke? The second time he comes, can you remember the joke? Anyways, that's also very funny. And then the sketch ends in a way that's satisfying as well. The cut the tongue out and the violin. Anyway, that was the highlight, and I loved every minute of it.
I did too. I mean, I enjoyed this whole show, and I enjoyed the Muppet part in it too, and everything. It's like the Muppets were so interesting then because they would show up on such interesting shows. A lot of the variety shows would use them at different times, and I just I get the feeling that they were just widely available. If you wanted them, you contact Jim Henson and he'd be on. And certainly on the Tonight Show, they were featured quite a bit and things. So
Okay.
and they appeared with Jack. I mean, like the Tonight Show, one of his appearances on the Tonight Show had them on as well. And so I don't know if that's coincidence or if Jack was like, "Hey, have you thought about bringing on the Muppets? I'm a big fan." I don't know.
Sorry, I just remembered the thing I was trying to remember. It's when he says, I'll see if we have it," which totally undermines the idea of it being a commercial as well, which I thought was really funny. And when it comes to the Muppets, I love the Muppets. They tried to do the Muppets on Saturday Night Live, and it doesn't really work that well because they're trying to be something they're not. Whereas Flip Wilson brought in the Muppets, and it's just the Muppets. And apparently, I looked it up on YouTube because I wanted to see Flip's appearance on the Sesame Street episode, and he's doing the alphabet like they often get celebrities to do.
Yeah.
But he says, "Oh, I had a teacher and she used to say the alphabet like this," and then he does his lady voice or whatever. So it was lots of fun. But I was surprised to see how many clips there were of the Muppets or Sesame Street in particular on the Flip Wilson show. This was not their only appearance.
Right.
There's one with Oscar and one with Big Bird and everything.
And that's lovely because this is PBS, a struggling, so it's not on the same network. And so it's very kind of Flips, the people in charge of the show to sort of allow that to happen instead of going, no, they're the competition. No, this is socialist stuff for children.
They were very open on the Sesame Street to bringing in and have been into bringing celebrities in over the years. It's really fun if you've got a celebrity that you love to just type in their name and Sesame Street and see, because almost all of them appeared at some point on Sesame Street. And it's just fun to see a little, like you said, it's usually the alphabet or helping the count and counting things for something. And it's always a fun little thing to see, oh, there's Michael Landon, or oh, there's, whoever it is that you're looking at. Yeah. I don't think Jack ever appeared as anything on Sesame Street, which would have been interesting because he could have. I mean, certainly in 70 to 74 was some of the peak years of Sesame Street, but I don't think at the very beginning, because it started in like 70, maybe 69, 70, right in there, because I remember it started when I was like 5. And then for the first few years, I don't think they had as big a guest stars or anything because it was just finding its legs and getting culturally known. And then it became kind of the cool thing to be involved with. So I bet it was right around this time in 72, 73 that it started to become even bigger. Yeah. But anyway, Terry looks like you might have something to say.
Well, I just wanted to say one more thing about Flip Wilson. As I mentioned, we would watch the show practically every week. And I also remember seeing Flip Wilson and hearing Flip Wilson tell stories, tell anecdotes. And it kind of didn't matter whether the punchline was all that great. He was just such a brilliant storyteller, such a brilliant monologist. And there are not many people who can, excuse me, hold your attention by the way they tell stories.
Right.
And he was the master of doing that.
Right.
Just a genius.
Yeah. Oh, and some people, like you say, are just so fabulous at that yeah, the material doesn't matter as much to those folks. It's like, okay, if they have good material, it'd be even better. But I think of that with Carson too, that Carson, I just love to hear him go anywhere. And if the joke failed, it failed. And half the time his joke about the joke would be funnier than the joke ever was going to be. So, yeah. And how it didn't work and how he's, his writers are in trouble or whatever, but yeah. But what I always think is funny is people always make fun of their writers and joke about getting rid of their writers, and no one ever really does, except for like Bob Hope really got rid of his writers. you went on an edge and he's like, you're gone.
They're down a staircase and make them stand at the bottom. Lord.
Anyway, all right. Well, with that, we'll let you guys go. We'll see you next time. Unless there's John, did you have something else that looked like maybe?
Well, I just wanted to say, being a Jack Benny fan, there are times when he is clearly very comfortable
Mhm.
And that's when he starts ad-libbing.
Yes.
This is one of those episodes where he tries a couple ad-libs, with the Rochester bit, and he says, "Oh, I should have done Mary. That would have been funnier," and things like that. And then at the end, he's doing something again. I can't even hear what he's saying, and it almost seemed also like the hug was ad-libbed as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see Jack get in a kind of a silly mood.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I find as he gets older, he's more likely to do that sometimes, and he's not sure of himself. Maybe I don't know what, or and he'll say things that are kind of off mic, and so you won't be able to tell what he's doing or
Yeah.
saying, and it's just I don't know if it's a part of him getting older that he's misjudging doing something or what goes on there. But yeah, I
I
noticed that.
suspect it was. I suspect it was also because Jack Benny had nothing left to prove.
Yes,
He
Sure. Yeah.
he had done literally everything there was to do in
right,
show business, and he could relax. He didn't have to
right,
worry about. He wasn't in charge, and he didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about anything.
right.
And so he had the luxury of just being able to have fun.
Well,
Totally.
his entire television show, 15 years of television show, was essentially a victory lap of his radio show. And so then his career beyond that is a victory lap on a victory lap. And the end of it, yeah, it must have been so much fun to just be Jack Benny at that
I hope you
time
guys
and just know that, yeah, there's nothing, you've conquered the world.
spent so many years worrying about
Yes,
making each show not lousy. Terry, I think that's a terrific comment. I think we saw that in the Johnny Carson anniversary, move to California anniversary special too. Of just I'm going to smoke my cigar and I'm going to get up and I'm going to how
yeah,
nice. I think that well worth it because you can just in stories and interviews with him all through his career, he was just so concerned about trying to get the next show to be good or
mhm.
to as he would say not be lousy that hooray
Well, and it couldn't
for
have
his daughter.
helped that he's got those concerns and he's a perfectionist and wants his shows to be really top notch, which they are. I mean, but they are because he put the work into it. But on top of it, your wife is completely paranoid and barely being able to pull off even doing her performances and probably constantly chirping in your ear how she doesn't want to, and you always have to drag her in. It's like, oh, come on, Mary, you can do another one. You can do another, that had to be wearing after a time, you would think. But who can tell they do such a great job? So I, I'm just beyond delighted how much Jack we do have and how involved he was, how prolific he was. You just, I mean, you could eliminate his entire radio career, and you've got 15 years of television. There aren't many performers that do comedy on television in a series the last 15 years. I can only think of one besides him. Really, it's Red Skelton that does 20 years in television. But I mean, I don't know. I look at the Red Skelton shows and I go, okay, they're more problematic to present than Jack's shows are just clean and well done, and very they just work. And then you've got the radio career that's even better than that, just sitting out there that people hardly talk about because it's radio, and yet we love it and listen to it and are like, oh my gosh, this is the peak of Jack. And then everything that follows that is just delightful as well. So what an interesting career. And that's why we do these presentations and why he's the only, I don't know of anybody else that anyone else is doing this for, where they're presenting essentially everything they've ever done and having a discussion about it each week. And I don't know how many people we get, but it's like, over years, I mean, they'll probably go back and find these and be like, oh wow, he was pretty amazing. I mean, I get email every week and comments every week on our shows where somebody's just finding or discovering Jack, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you present this. The guy is hilarious," and they just get into him, and
Who
whether they,
knew?
yeah, exactly. You get people finding Jack from his radio career and building up. You get people finding Jack from his specials, and like someone someone is going to watch this Flip Wilson special show as their very first experience with Jack and go, oh, maybe I'll catch another one. And then they're going to slowly go backwards and realize, oh my gosh, it gets better and better and better. So, yeah.
Daryl, yesterday, as we're recording this, yesterday was the 4th of July,
Yeah.
and we watched Yankee Doodle Dandy, the Jimmy Cagney movie. And near the end of the movie, George M. Cohan is sitting in his yard, and a group of young kids drive up, and they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for him because he's one of the most famous people in America, if not the world, prior to that. And I don't know that Jack Benny ever suffered that problem in his lifetime. I don't think anybody ever forgot who Jack Benny was of any generation.
He made a trip to Israel. I think he made a trip to on a European international trip. He was sort of taken aback that he wasn't recognized on the street. So he was used to it, but I don't think he craved it. He was not, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Well, the closest thing I can think of in modern day of a person who's universally loved, and just him being on the planet with us is such a joy, is probably Paul McCartney. Because when Paul McCartney when you ever hear him interviewed or talked or whatever, or you meet people or you talk to people that have met him, they're just like, he's just a delightful person to meet, and he tries to just walk around and go shopping or do whatever he needs to do. And he's just used to the fact that his entire life he's been recognizable and well known, and it's just part of who he is. And that's, I think, with Jack, essentially from the 1930s all the way up until his passing, people just knew who he was. And yeah, so it's just different. And like I say, love what he did, love what he created. I mean, that's where Paul is too, with the Beatles and Wings and all of that. It's just, people love his work.
Well, and yet but then some people don't know Jack Benny. And here's where I'm so grateful for the years of radio collectors, dumpster diving to find, because NBC and CBS didn't keep the radio shows. Right. Benny luckily kept some scripts. But the fact that we have 750 some radio episodes to listen to is all due to collectors who got this stuff out of the trash and started putting together collections. That never ceases to amaze me. Because
and thank goodness for them.
It was wild to keep their films.
Yeah. And fortunately, Jack Benny lived in the 20th century and not in the 19th century. Yeah. Wouldn't have had any.
Or George M. Cohan, without these things being recorded. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you lived, or no one would remember what you've done or anything. I mean, Shakespeare, who remembers Shakespeare? Or he's totally forgotten, and his work, hopefully someone will find it someday.
But it was recorded, at least.
Anyway. All right, with that, we'll let people go. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I'm joined with Catherine Fuller-Seeley here, and we are going to talk about the Flip Wilson show that features Jack Benny as the guest. And what a fun little show to do. I guess the surprising thing for me, because I don't know, the version we've watched, I recorded, and it's got all the modern commercials in it and everything. I mean, I'll take those out on here. They'll be gone before I post it to YouTube or anything. But it made it be where maybe there's parts cut out of the show, whole bits that we didn't see or something. I don't know. But it seemed like such a short show in so many ways and like everybody, it would just got a taste of everybody, but you wanted more. You wanted more Jack. You wanted more of Pearl Bailey.
Yeah.
You wanted more of the Muppets. But this is what you got, and it shows what a good actor Flip Wilson is, because at one point he's acting like he's sort of the director, showrunner of a commercial that he's doing, and he does a nice job of actually inhabiting a character that just wasn't just a Flip Wilson character. It was a different character. And I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to Flip Wilson sort of being Flip Wilson, and that's kind of what you get. The other piece, I guess, that was missing on this episode that I would have liked to have seen was one of Flip's big pieces was he would dress up as a female, and I can't remember what her name was, Geraldine. And that was a very popular character that he had, and I thought it would have been interesting for Jack, who so often liked to dress up as a woman, to have them both interacting as two women would have been a lot of fun. But apparently they did not do that. So anyway, Kathy, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, again, another time machine of happy memories of watching this show. Okay, that we think is from 72. We hope.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, just delightful. Just a reminder of how incredibly talented Flip Wilson was. I love his show was known for bringing on all the big African-American entertainer names. And indeed, he's got Pearl Bailey here looking so relaxed and so energetic in this, but as well as the top older generation of white performers. If we were talking about the clip you've got of this show, has the one before it featured Bing Crosby. Who I just can't, it's as strange as seeing Bing Crosby with David Bowie. But the fact that Jack could roll with these punches, that he could appear with younger performers. I love the fact that when Jack comes out, Flip starts with a Rochester comment, just showing that he's anticipating that people watching the show would remember Jack and his long history and his relationship with Eddie Anderson, as well as this being a hip new now show.
Yes.
That it's both appealing to the legacy of Jack, as well as sort of as I said, the nowness of it. And the fact that I don't know whether that was scripted or a little bit of just invented dialogue, that he says, you should have said Dennis or maybe Mary instead of coming out as
exactly, that only his fans are going to pick up on and know what they're talking about.
So again, a fascinating mix that I'm not sure we can pull off today.
No.
There seems to be such a sharp divide between younger audiences today who don't care about things from the past versus what's going on here in the early 70s, when you have these storied older generations of performers who are still showing up as guest stars on television. I love the fact that Jack seemed a little discombobulated by this set in the round.
Yes.
That
I was going to mention that as well. Yeah.
And Barbara Thinnell, our wonderful Benny historian who lived through all these Benny things, she told me once that she went to see him in a local, he had appeared sometime in the 60s or early 70s in a theater in the round in the Los Angeles area. And she recalled that he had mentioned in the show how strange and discombobulating it was to have to keep turning and knowing that there are audiences behind you, and all this. So
well, he was
that was an unusual thing for television. Instead of being in front with the proscenium, to have all these people all over the place. So.
Yeah, it was very big for a while in early television, these variety shows, to have it in the round, and always seemed awkward to me. I mean, I get the concept. We can film a scenes and parts of the show, and we don't have to keep cutting to the audience, because the audience is behind them. No matter which way we film them, we see, there's a live audience there. So that piece makes sense. I just felt bad for the audience, or certain members of the audience, that if you were in the bad position, you were seeing the person performing from the back most of the night. And then I loved it in this one when they do the skit with Jack, where he's the waiter. They have a set, they would build a partial sort of set to give them a setting. And they have, as part of the set, they have a door. And the door, there's people right behind the door that I'm going, all they could see was this door in front of them that was never opened, and they would just hear what was going on. And I was really surprised to not see, or maybe they were doing this and they told them not to do it, but you would think you would see someone's head peeking around the edges of the door to try and see what's going on the other side. Now, you didn't see that, so I don't know, but I just was thinking to myself, knowing my luck, that's the seat I would get. I would be the door guy who get to see anything. And how strange it would be. I remember we went to see John Denver back in, I don't know, 79, 80, something like that. And he was performing in the round. And so he would, the whole band and the whole stage would sort of face one way for like 2 or 3 songs, and then they'd move it a little bit. And so eventually you got his face. But I mean, the fact that he had so many ways to do that, you were seeing his face maybe half the time, either from an angle or straight on. But then about half the time, you'd see his back from this direction, his back directly behind him, and his back going that way. So really didn't work very well as a concept. And so I'm surprised people keep going back to that round concept, because it's just, I don't think your audience gets the interplay that they do any other way. Certainly with Carol Burnett's show, it was done, Carol Burnett's didn't have the round, and she would interact with the audience, and you could totally see that interaction. And you can see how in the round it would be I think it would be very uncomfortable for her to do that, knowing that certain members of the audience weren't getting a great show out of it. So, yeah.
Sure. Especially in the age before jumbotrons, of these large screens up here, so that you can always see some close-up version of what's going on. So
you are correct. With jumbotrons, it would make it not as big of a deal to be in the round. Yes, agreed.
Yeah, but just as you say, I think the whole artistic concept of taking people out of their safe zones, making them feel uncomfortable, might add certain aspects to the both performance and the understanding of it. But give me a proscenium.
Yeah, well, I would think, because Jack mentions how awkward it is for a guy of his experience level to then be kind of knocked a little bit out of sorts. It's got to take some serious work. I mean, it's tricky to do that. But yeah, I could totally see how performing the round would totally, you're constantly reminded, there's an audience here and I have to turn and do these things. Whereas as a performer, you can get lost in the performance a little bit and kind of not necessarily forget the audience is there, but not have them be a constant on your mind. Whereas in the round, I think you never can let that go 100%. Anyway, but we'll talk about other aspects of the show. I did love seeing the Muppets on here. We have Ernie and Bert at the very beginning, which is a very cute bit that they do. Bert seeming like he's nervous to be there and things. And Flip is just so comfortable, and so you can definitely see how this would catch on with audiences, and then they can really like having the show. And then the fact that certainly it must be purposeful that they're grabbing people like Jack Benny and so forth to make it more acceptable to a wide audience and attract more of the wide audience to watching the show, which is probably brilliant, because he did have a great cross section. And as you said, it was in the top 10 shows, and to be in the top 10, you have to be appealing to a lot of the country.
Sure. One thing I've always appreciated about all the various encounters between Flip Wilson and Jack Benny that you've shown me across shows we've done a while before. Flip is always interested in critiquing the Rochester Jack relationship. That's both playing into it, but always standing on the side and going, no, I'm more, I'm going to give Rochester gets to be more hip now. We get to critique the relationship. I'm not just a servant. Hey, but he was doing great things in the past, but now we're going to update it.
Right.
So I find Flip's sort of racial politics, if you will,
Yes.
fascinating, and that he's willing to do this, but he still, it seems to me, treats the older white stars, while he tweaks them a bit, he always treats them with enough kind of geniality and respect that they'd be willing to go on the show.
Yes.
If he was too harsh, he wouldn't be able to get a Bing, a Jack Benny, right, a Bing Crosby. And so thinking about the differences between Flip's way of performing and Jack's way of performing. Jack is always Jack.
Yeah.
And Flip, just as you say, when he can so successfully inhabit Geraldine, when he can be the here comes the judge, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So he's got these many different sort of characters that are always a bit of Flip, but that take him in different directions. It's great that they can play off each other.
Well, I think it's so funny that Jack at one point talks about the different catchphrases that Flip Wilson has, but he says them all with the wrong inflections and everything. I don't think purposeful. I think he doesn't really necessarily know, or they wrote him that these are the catchphrases, and who knows if this is a show he's ever watched before or not. But it's just funny to hear him say it. It's kind of like watching Nixon say, "Suck it to me." It but it just lends to the whole feel of Jack trying to be hip, but he's not hip, and I love the part where Flip Wilson says, Mr. Benny, and trying to do a sort of a Rochester play on Rochester. It's not done very much. It's just done as a quick throwaway, but it is funny to hear him do that, and to think of how far black actors have come since Rochester opened the door for so many of them. And it's neat to see and hear Flip Wilson acknowledge at least Rochester, both in this and, like you say, in the Jack Benny special that he appears on. He does a good job of that too. Just such a great performance.
In doing a little more research about the show and Flip, I learned that George Carlin was one of his writers.
Yes.
And so just adding more of that fabulous wordplay,
yes,
and the kind of philosophy that George Carlin, and so that another part of the show, another skit occasionally would be he'd bring out the hippy dippy weatherman, and the two would play off each other. So as I said, I truly admire. It's great to go back and experience Flip Wilson's comedy some more, because he plays with characters, he plays with language. Yes. He's very much also a physical performer, and it's just such a shame, as I said, that he pretty much walked away from it all, and ended his show in spring of 1975.
Yeah,
I'm just
well, and I thought I mentioned, because you might watch this and go, oh, I'd like to see more Flip Wilson. It doesn't seem like his shows, I couldn't find where they're streaming or anything. It did tell me, like on Wikipedia, that they were streaming on Amazon Prime, and I checked and they aren't streaming there anymore. You can't even, I don't even think it lets you buy them there, but you can. There's DVD sets and things you can buy. But then you would be getting the full-blown show, I would assume, if there's any bits of it cut out. I don't know. So that could be a good deal,
and that can very well have happened. Aspire, the network that this was playing on when you taped it, of course, every extra commercial that they can add, and it's so much easier to snip out an extra song or a little skit or something like that in a variety show rather than a scripted narrative drama or sitcom.
Well, and the Aspire channel was so interesting too, in that they were trying to aspire to things, and so they had different folks come on and talk about their career and things that would be a prominent black performer or athlete or whatever, and they had some of those during the course of this show. And So to me, there's the commercials, but then there's those bits too that probably would make it where they're taking up more time, and so they have to cut more out of the show, you would think. So I wouldn't be surprised if the whole bit missing. I did want to point out about Jack's bit as the waiter. I love that he constantly wanted to add more lines in and things, and he's frustrating the guy's commercial that he's trying to create. And then at one point he says he can't talk, his tongue's been cut out, or he's playing a gypsy, and so so he comes on, he decides that his character can't talk anymore, but the gypsies taught him to play the violin because and so then he plays the violin, so we get a chance to hear Jack playing the violin. And that whole bit, I like that too, because it's kind of funny because he's playing the violin and you can totally see that Pearl Bailey is supposed to say something, but she's like waiting because I think she wants to hear, she's so much enjoying Jack playing the violin that she lets him go a little longer than she probably should. But I'm like, how could you, you're supposed to say something, cut Jack's violin playing off. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that either. I'd be like, oh, this is great. Keep going, Jack. We'll finish off the show with you playing the violin. Who cares about the skit? But no, it was just certainly made you feel like how modern performers still respected Jack, and still he was a legend, and just to be able to have this legend on their show, certainly unfortunately in the last few years of his life, would be such a treat. And I'm so glad that this exists and that he was there. Could they have used him a little better? Probably. Would it have been helpful maybe to have some of Jack's writers helping write his parts and things? Probably. But we get what we get, and it's not horrible, and it's definitely an enjoyable show. Anything else about the show that you wanted to point out? Oh, we mentioned too, Jim Henson at the end comes and walks on set, and I forgot how tall he was. It was like he looked like Bigfoot coming in and being there, and he's got that all the hair and everything. I mean, that was definitely Jim Henson at his peak of being Jim Henson like. So fun thing. Anyway, go ahead, Kathy. Anything else?
No, thank you. It was just a fabulous mix of just new and Henson playing up Bert and Ernie. That's when Sesame Street is growing. It's been on the air for 3 years.
Yeah, and
it's a big phenomenon that would drawing in sort of children and families that way. The legacy performance of Jack Benny, the Black entertainment culture of Pearl Bailey. It's a fabulous.
It's great. Mix. Well, and then I liked how Flip Wilson mentioned being on Sesame Street, because I remember as a kid seeing Flip Wilson on Sesame Street, because you'd see so many of these performers that were big performers in the day that would appear on a skit or a recurring skit on Sesame Street. I mean, I'm sure they'd film it in one day, because what you usually got is you would see like Flip Wilson on this piece on an episode, and then 3 weeks later you'd see him on another episode, but he'd be in the same outfit. And so it was like they'd film all their parts in one afternoon, but they'd spread it out over multiple episodes, which was a fun way to do it. Anyway, but an enjoyable show. So I hope you folks enjoy it, and we'll see you next time for some more Jack Benny. But thank you, Kathy. What a neat show.
Thank you.
Yep. Great. And thank you, Flip Wilson. You were such a great performer and added so much to all these performers, and Pearl Bailey, Jack Benny, of course, Jim Henderson and his Muppets. They're all gone now, but it's nice to have this piece that you can capture a little flavor of all of them. It's delightful. See you next time.